Okay, so basically we're going to talk about Chicago now. The week after Pittsburgh, we drove up to Chicago and we stayed with Erica's sister who had job training up there, luckily. So we didn't have to pay for a hotel, thank God. But the week before in Pittsburgh, we had made friends with a member on 5 Seconds of Summer's crew. And we can't give out names because we don't want him to get in trouble because he's really nice and lovely and he's one of my favorite people. And we don't want him to get fired or lose his job for what he's done for us. But we talked to a crew member in Pittsburgh, and we just kind of had a really nice conversation with him about, if they were coming to Atlanta and, what they had planned coming up in the future. And he was like, we really didn't expect them to take off as much as they did while they were on tour with One Direction. And they've really just taken off, and we're really proud of that. And, they are looking at planning a headlining tour and everything. And so all this came about, and we were just talking, we're like, well, is Atlanta going to be on there? Because it was the #1 city on the map. And he was like, I don't see why it wouldn't be. You guys in, like a Cincinnati, Lexington area were really, like, big spots on the map. And, of course, neither of us got a tour, but, that's a grudge for another day. And so we just kind of talked to him, became really friendly with him. And so the next one we went to Chicago, we got to Chicago really early morning, seriously like 7 a.m. in the morning of the acoustic, and went to the hotel, and we took a nap, and we showered, and we got ready, and then at about noon, we headed down to the venue, and they had all these girls lined up on one side who had tickets, and then we're like, well, if we don't have tickets, can we stand on the other side? He was like, yeah, that's fine. And so we were sitting down there, and we were like some of the first people to get there, and then all of a sudden a bunch of other people started showing up that didn't have tickets just to see them, and so they put a barricade up, but whatever. And so we saw our crew member friend come out of the bus, and we were like, hey, come here. Do you remember us from last week? And he was like, yeah, you guys, came to Chicago. And we're like, yeah, well, we tried to buy tickets last week when they went on sale, and we couldn't get tickets, but we figured we'd still, come up and see if we could find tickets, see if anyone had any extra tickets or things like that. And he was like, if I had extra tickets, I'd give them to you. Usually if there's a small amount of girls that show up that don't have tickets, we let them in. But there's so many girls out here that don't have tickets. There was like 150 people out there that didn't have tickets. He's like, we'd usually let them in, but we honestly can't because there's so many of you. We're like, no, that's fine. And we brought Luke presents because it was his birthday. And we're like, can you at least give these to Luke for us? And he was like, yeah. So we were just kind of sitting outside the venue for a while, and then I guess about 2 o'clock they all went inside to do like sound check and everything. And then they came back out on the bus, and Michael was talking to us out the window, and there's a video on YouTube, and I'd have to find the link for it, but it's basically a video of girls talking to Michael outside the venue while he's on the bus, and you hear me shout, how do I sneak in? And he was like, I don't know, but do it. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna sneak in the venue, like how do I do this? And so we talked to our crew friend, and we're like, if we snuck in, would anyone kick us out? He's like, I wouldn't kick you out, like venue security might, but like no one on our team's gonna kick you out. We applaud badassness with the 5 Seconds of Summer people, and I was like, yes. So we found out what color the crew wristbands were, and we went to go buy things that looked kind of like them. And we used them to get in the door past security. And then you had to get in like another door to actually get into the venue because it was at like a bar. So we got in the door of the bar, and then we couldn't get in the door of the venue. And so we're like, no. Like our crew member friend was like, he put us on the list, and the guy sitting at the guest list was like, you're not on here, you can't go in. And we're like, great, So we were like, okay, well, what do we do? And so we're sitting in the bar area, like trying to avoid security, like kind of keeping our like laying low, trying to avoid security so they don't kick us out. Because we weren't 21 and we weren't technically allowed to be at the bar. But at one point we saw them coming, so we ran into the ladies' bathroom because they couldn't come into the bathroom. I think we sat on the floor of the bathroom for like 30 minutes. And then we walked out, and we were like, okay, well, what do we do? And all of a sudden we see our crew member friend walk out, and we're like, hey, come here. And he was like, did y'all get in? And we were like, no, we didn't, but we've been in here. And he's like, y'all got past security though? And I was like, yeah, but we couldn't get past the people, like the people at the guest list door. And he was like, oh. And he was like, well, the acoustic's over. And we're like, we know, like the meet and greet's still going on. And like at the bar, you could watch the meet and greet from the bar. So we're like, well, guess we'll just try to watch the meet and greet. And then like halfway through, he like walks out again, and we were like, is there any way you could get us, like, into the meet and greet? He was like, he, like, looked around and, like, gave his head, and I was like, come on, and snug us into the meet and greet. And so, basically, the moral of the story is be nice to everyone on their team because you never know when they can do things for you. Like, you always be so friendly to everyone. Like, venue security, band security, the band, the crew. Like, even, like, because even the crew, like, the people who, like, don't have much say in anything anymore, like, even if they're not management, be nice. Be nice to everybody because the crew loves Erica and I. Like, every time we see them, like, oh, hey, girls, how are you? Like, are you good? Because, like, we see them so often. So the crew's really nice to us. And because we're really nice to the crew, and we're always really friendly with them. And, they know us by name, and, they always see us. And so they're just, they know to keep an eye out for us whenever they're in America. And, we don't ask for favors from them. But we are really friendly, so it kind of does pay off to be friendly with the crew. And they can't always, like, get you into the concerts or anything, but they can give you little tips and hints and things, and they'll do it. Especially if there's a small crowd. We'll talk about it when we get to the next video about how we met them in New York. We'll talk about it, about how the crew is really nice and how they can help you out if you're friendly to them. But that is how I met them in Chicago, and yeah, just remember to be friendly.